Hi guys, I'm Jess and welcome to the Riverdale Review. This week's episode kicks off with Hiram Lodge in full swing back to his bad old self. This time, the subject of his interest is Fred Andrews. Now, with Mayor McCoy stepping down after the Lodges threatened to reveal the affair she was having with Sheriff Keller, the position of mayor has opened up to the people of Riverdale. In true Hiram Lodge fashion, he's kind of molding Fred and, really sugarcoating how great this mayor position's going to be. Now, initially, Fred seems really taken with the idea of being the mayor of Riverdale. He seems to really lap up all the information that Hiram's giving him and loves the fact that Hiram will pay for his campaigning and everything else that goes along with it. Archie's been working with the Lodges for some time now, and he knows that there's always an ulterior motive. The Lodges don't just offer, and especially offer their money freely, if it doesn't mean a return investment for them. Fred's enthusiasm for running for mayor doesn't really sit well with Archie. He goes to Josie and appeals and asks her to bring her mom to have a one-on-one conversation with Fred. Mayor McCoy lays it all out, and not in a very positive way, but Fred still seems very keen to push forward with the idea of running for mayor. Now, on the flip side of this, Veronica is also getting a lot of pressure from her parents to kind of encourage and guide Archie into supporting his dad's campaign and encouraging him to run. Now, Veronica doesn't seem to be okay with this, but she does go along with it initially. She even goes so far as to turn up on the Andrews doorstep with flyers of all different types of campaign slogans and buttons that Fred Andrews can use to run with. Fred subsequently decides that no, he's not going to run for mayor, leaving the position open. And it is picked up by none other than Hermione Lodge. Now, initially, I thought this decision was a little strange, given that there had been no mention whatsoever of her running for this position. However, we always know that the Lodges just tend to be that little step in front of everybody. They always know what's going on and they always have a plan B. So the end of this episode sees Veronica introducing her mother as the mayor of Riverdale. Now, during this episode, Hiram Lodge is aggravated by none other than Jughead Jones. Our budding reporter has delved further into what the Lodges might be up to and is really starting to get under Hiram's skin. Now, it's no secret that Hiram and Jughead have never really seen eye to eye, nor have Hiram and FP, Jughead's father. But in this episode specifically, you really start to see Hiram lose his cool. So Jughead is still pursuing and pushing forward, trying to expose what Hiram might actually be up to. Now, in this particular episode, Hiram loses his cool after Pop comes to him and reveals that Jughead was asking him a bunch of different questions. You even see Hiram in this episode slam his fist down onto his desk, making Veronica and Hermione jump. Interesting decision there to sort of get to see him lose his cool. It really goes to show you that it is Hermione that's the mastermind behind this, and Hiram the puppet. Polly Cooper makes a surprise return in this episode, which was lovely. She'd kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. We knew she had the twins. We know she's staying at this farm, and it's all a little cultish. But we haven't seen her for a number of episodes. We also realize in this episode that she has not yet met Chick. So Betty arrives home and finds Chick, Alice, and Polly in the living room holding the twins. Polly has this moment where she comes up to Betty and she said, I'm here with the twins and I just met our brother. And it doesn't really go further than that into the conversation, but it's assumed from, her tonality and the very brief mention about just meeting the brother, that this is the first time Polly has even been made aware of Chick's existence. Now, throughout this whole episode, Betty is hyper aware of Chick. She's really taken that warning that Jughead gave her last episode where he said, careful, I don't get good vibes from him. She's really taken that on board. When she does arrive home and sees that Chick and Alice are holding Polly's twins, she's very quick to go straight over to Chick and take the baby that he's holding to keep him safe. As with any episode of Riverdale, this episode was filled with scandal. Turns out that Mr. Blossom, Cheryl Blossom's father and Penelope's deceased husband, has left a will. The will reading is scheduled for the next day and conveniently coincides with a conversation between Hal Cooper and Alice. Hal comes to Alice and says, "Look, I've treated you like a goddess for the last 20 years, which I would like to see evidence of, as a side note, but I want a divorce. It's over and I'm done." Alice kind of laughs him off as she normally does, and we go about our business as normal. Polly makes a comment about asking if Betty and Alice will be going to the will reading the next day, to which Betty replies, "What will reading?" Naturally, we assume as the viewers that Betty has informed Alice of this information, which sets her right off. The next scene, they're at the will reading and things are very, traumatic and sad, and there's lots of different emotions in the room. And then lo and behold, Alice Cooper comes flying into the room and calls Hal and also Penelope out. It's a truly glorious moment for Alice. She's realized that Hal is entitled to some of the Blossoms' money because they're related by blood, but if he divorces her, he doesn't have to share any with Alice. So naturally, Alice goes in there to tell him what's what and claim what's hers. In order for any member of the Riverdale community to claim entitlement to the Blossom fortune left by Mr. Blossom, they need to provide a blood sample or a DNA sample proving that they are in fact of Blossom blood. So naturally, because of the very incestuous history between the Coopers and the Blossoms, Polly, Betty, and Hal are all connected by blood to the Blossoms. Now, one would also assume that Chick is too, but he's not too keen to have his blood tested. He claims that needles trigger him. Now, the family doesn't question this, but Betty knows that there's more to this story than what meets the eye. When Chick refuses point blank to give his blood, claiming that he doesn't know the Blossoms and doesn't want any of their money, Betty goes on a little investigation of her own. In full Nancy Drew style, she has Kevin catfish Chick over his webcam service. So Chick and Kevin are communicating via webcam. Meanwhile, Betty's sitting in the room, kind of guiding Kevin through the conversation. Unfortunately, Chick does realize that something's up, which leaves Betty to take more of a drastic measure. Betty goes through Chick's trash can in his bathroom and finds a piece of used dental floss. She sends it off to a lab, and at the end of the episode, the results are revealed in a very kind of mysterious way. So we can go in one of two directions with this information. We can either go down that fan conspiracy theory path that I've been talking about in multiple episodes, where I really and truly believe that F.P. Jones is Chick's biological father and Alice the mother. Or we can go the other route, which is that neither Alice or Hal are Chick's biological parents, and that Chick is posing in place of their true son. Regardless of which way the show decides to go next week, I am so tremendously excited to see what happens. I have my fingers crossed that FP is revealed as the father, or at least Hal is revealed as not being his father. Now, just when you didn't think that this episode could get any more jam-packed or any more added to the already full storyline, we had the introduction of Clifford Blossom's estranged twin brother. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when he walked in that door, my jaw dropped to the floor. I gasped out loud and was like, oh my God! It was wonderful. It was something that was totally not expected, and I can't wait to see what they do. Now, the relationship between Cheryl and Tony is continuing to evolve into such a beautiful and wonderful friendship. I think Cheryl has found a true friend who's not going to judge her and who she doesn't have to pretend to be anything except who she is. I'm still yet to decide whether I think that this will turn romantic or not, but at the moment I think Tony is really that guiding force that's going to help Cheryl come to terms with her sexuality. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Riverdale Review. Don't forget to hit that big old subscribe button, leave your comments, questions and feedback in that box below, and I'll see you again next week. you like all things Riverdale, be sure to head over to iTunes and check out Betty Squared. What happens when you get two Bettys in a room? You'll have to head over to iTunes to find out.